Human beings who are unique in having the ability to learn from the experiences of others are also remarkable for their apparent disinclination to do so. There are some untold stories which must be told, harsh realities which must be faced, and horrendous stories of other people's life experiences which must be digested so that it does not become an experience for you or any loved one. To ignore these messages is like a man who carries a cat by the tail. He learns something he can learn no other way. In this episode of Untold Stories, you hear about courtship, true love, albeit obsessive-possessive love, lies, abuse, domestic violence, planning, killing, and a daring escape from prison as I sit down to have the most bewildering conversation with a convicted killer.
You can probably believe this in our modern popular television culture. People are going to the freeway, parking their cars, and waving at O.J., we're told, as they drive by.
Look at all the cars on this next bridge, man.
At 12:10 a.m. on June 13, 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman were found murdered outside Brown's Bundy Drive condo in the Brentwood area of Los Angeles. O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown Simpson had divorced 2 years earlier. Nicole had been stabbed multiple times in the head and neck with defense wounds on her hands. Evidence collected at the scene led police to suspect that O.J. Simpson was the perpetrator of this crime of passion, which refers to a violent offense, especially murder, in which the executioner commits the act against someone because of a sudden strong impulse, such as rage or heartbreak, rather than a premeditated crime. The most typical crimes of passion involve a husband who discovers his wife has made him a chokehold and proceeds to brutally batter or even kill his wife and the man with whom she was involved. With crimes of passion, oftentimes women go off their rockers just as easily. On May 28, 1998, comedian Phil Hart and his wife Bryn of 10 years got into a heated argument. Phil threatened to leave her if she did not change her druggy lifestyle. Bryn interpreted this as him wanting to leave her to be with another woman. Fueled with well-calculated rage, Bryn waited until her husband was fast asleep and she pumped 3 bullets into Phil Hartman. Then she turned the gun on herself.
Lorena Bobbitt goes on trial for maliciously wounding her husband, and a lot of people are watching.
One of the most bizarre and unfortunate crimes of passion occurred on June 23, 1993, when Lorena Bobbitt attacked her husband and cut off his penis after he allegedly raped her. Lorena then left the house and threw the 2.5 centimeter penis alongside the highway. Ironically, Mrs. Bobbitt was found not guilty due to her husband's sexual abuse and a temporary insanity that spurred this crime of passion.
It is a haunting situation. Alone, late at night in a deserted Orlando airport parking lot with a stranger in pursuit.
In 2007, astronaut Lisa Nowak was arrested and charged with attempted kidnapping, burglary, and battery of Colin Shipman, a woman who was involved with Nowak's love interest.
What do you have to say to all those kids who look up to you?
In a rage of jealousy, Nowak drove from Houston to Orlando to confront her competition. A crazed Nowak packed a wig, trench coat, pepper spray, a BB gun, a knife, and garbage bags. A disguised Nowak followed Shipman and sprayed her with a chemical. She was caught and charged with attempted murder. In our little slice of tropical paradise, our French culture has coined a phrase for this feeling, often associated with crimes of passion, simply called go poil. In 1964, Felix John, a laborer of Grand Riviere, was sentenced to hang for the death of Una Floatan. This killing was attributed to Gopewell. December 4th, 1995, John Sampson caused the death of his wife by hitting her in the neck. She fell out of an open door to the ground below where there were huge boulders. He took his wife's body to an old pit toilet and buried it. Gopewell again. And who can forget the case of Shaka, the Rasta man who wanted virgin blood? In 1989, he severed the head of Mary Radcliffe, the mother of his 2 children. Shaka has never been brought to justice, and today he remains St. Lucia's most wanted fugitive. The common underlying question with all these crimes of passion is why? And what goes through the mind of a person when driven to this extreme? When we return after the break, Untold Stories takes you inside the mind of a convicted killer as he divulges everything from the first spark of friendly conversation to the cold-blooded execution.
I've accepted that it was Gopewell. I had 2 jobs during that time prior to my incarceration. One, my main job was at St. Lucia Representative Services as a tour operator representative, and I also had a night job at the Triangle as a barman. And I met her around there, and I was just enjoying myself, you know, like every man looking for a one-night stand. But eventually it developed into more than that.
Okay. So you meet her at Triangle?
Yeah.
All right. That first night you met her, what was that like?
Well, I was more like consoling her because she and the ex-boyfriend were going through some problems, and I was more comforting her. She came to live with me after we met because she was looking for a place to stay, and I opened my place to her until she actually found a place of her own. While she was staying with me at my apartment, it was wonderful. I couldn't ask for more, you know? I showed her love, she showed me love, we explored the island, we did things, both of us were adventurous. You know? The problems began when I gave up my apartment because we had to travel to England together and move into her apartment, you know? That's when the problem started.
Were you the only person she was seeing?
At the time, I thought I was, you know, but later on I get to know I wasn't.
How did that make you feel?
Devastated, upset, angry, used. I could go on if all different and deceived, you know, because we were actually preparing to take that step into marriage, you know. When I brought her to my mom's home and introduced her to my mom, from first look, I don't know what about mothers, but my mom called me on the side and told me, my boy, this girl is not for you, you know. And other persons, including the owner of the Triangle, told me that, Simon, this girl is going to get you in trouble. I took no heed. You know, when a guy is in love, he has nothing from no other boy. He's in love.
Uzma Ahmed always maintained a friendship with her ex-boyfriend, much to the annoyance of her new lover. The cycle of domestic violence, spurred by jealousy, was slowly gaining momentum. There was another incident when you were in Rosalie. Driving home, you were driving very slow. Tell me about that.
We went on a Sunday afternoon, right? We usually go to Pigeon Point right? There's usually a beach bash there. And we didn't like the whole setting on that afternoon. So I was driving back, kind of cruising, you know? I would say about 15, 20 miles an hour. But eventually, vehicles started overtaking us. And she complaining why I'm allowing those vehicles to overtake us. I told her that's taxi drivers, because I know the taxi driver's number plate. I deal with them in the work I used to do. I deal with them a lot, you know, until she forced my leg down on the accelerator. And I got quite upset. And I just left it there. And I drove at that speed until we got home, you know. She got frightened, and when I stopped the Jeep in front of the house, it's like she slapped me and burst my lip, you know. I'm a kind of person, when I see my own blood, I go into a certain, how shall I put it, rage. Okay, sometimes I'm able to control it, sometimes I can't, until after whatever happened.
What happened?
I strangled her. I held her by her neck, right? And I lifted her up on the wall and I strangled her. I was aware of everything I was doing, but when I checked myself, I realized what I was doing. I released her.
You're 6'2".
I'm 6'2".
How tall is she?
She's about 5'4".
Simon.
Yeah.
What kind of woman, 5'4", do to a body like that?
You know, she went in a Jeep and she drove off. Then about a few days after that, a police friend of mine met me and told me that they want to question me at Grosley police station. When I went there, they kept me there for almost 5 days without even charging me. You know, I'm refusing to release me, told me they don't trust me, you know. At that time, the present commissioner, François, was in charge of Grosley. And he was kind of helping for Uzma, with my ex-girlfriend and myself, to reconcile and sort out things between us, you know, instead of taking it to the court in front of a magistrate. You know. But during that, a certain comment she made to me got me angry, and I told her take it to the court.
The little lady would begin to distance herself from her abusive lover, but this was easier said. Tell me what happened at court.
At court, the magistrate, Fraser, he asked me to explain the matter. I explained to him that I want to break up with Uzma, right? But she don't want that. You know, I want her to keep away from me and stay away from me. And he asked her whether she understood that. She said yes. And then he gave me a restraining bond, you know. But even during that bond, she didn't have the bond, I had the bond. I had problems with her, you know. Because everywhere I went, and she ended up being there. If I'm on this side, she would come on this side. If I go on this side, it's like she would make a mockery of me. You understand what I'm saying? And it just reached a point where I allowed my anger to take over my emotions, and I went berserk.
Obsessive love is a state in which a person feels an overwhelming fixated desire to possess another person toward whom they feel a strong attraction. with an inability to accept failure or rejection. Although not categorized under any specific mental diagnosis, many people argue that obsessive love is considered to be a mental illness. Obsessive lovers may feel entirely unable to restrain themselves from extreme behaviors and as such may be fully convinced that their feelings are love and may reject the idea that this severe obsession is nothing but. Police reports indicate that Simon began stalking Uzma Ahmed. She would seek a certain policeman's protection.
I observed Taliam with Uzma. And it was no bodyguard, bodyguard client thing. It was man and woman, boyfriend and girlfriend. You understand what I'm saying? Their actions.
How did that make you feel?
By that time, I didn't feel no how.
Jealous?
Because, no, I didn't feel jealous.
Angry?
No.
Possessive?
No. At that time, no. I didn't feel that way. Okay? The reason is because I was in a state where I had no feelings towards her again. No love in my heart towards her again.
When Untold Stories, conversations with a convicted killer returns. A man is shot, a woman is shot, and the prime suspect escapes from prison. Without realizing it, Simon Marius has found himself on what Dr. John Moore calls the obsessive love wheel. Phase 1, the attraction phase. There is instant attraction to the romantic interest. There is an immediate urge to rush into a relationship, regardless of compatibility. Becoming hooked on the look, focusing on the person's physical characteristics while ignoring personality differences. This is the phase where obsessive, controlling behavior begins to manifest. Phase 2. This phase is considered a relational turning point which occurs after a commitment has been made between the parties. The relationship can be severed here, resulting in a depressing time for the controlling party. Then comes usually unfounded thoughts of infidelity, an overwhelming fear of abandonment, the need to be in constant contact with the love interest via phone, email, or social media, feeling that the other person shouldn't be in contact, meet with, or bond with anyone else. This is normally where domestic violence begins. Phase 3. This particular phase represents the rapid escalation of this unhealthy attachment. It is at this point that obsessive controlling behaviors reach critical mass, characterized by drive-bys around the love interest home or workplace, with the goal of ensuring that the person is where they're supposed to be. This may also include phone searches and hacking of email and social media accounts. For victims, it is the last opportunity they may get to run before the inevitability of Phase 4. Phase 4 is the final and most dangerous phase of relational progression. It is characterized by a sudden loss of self-esteem due to the collapse of the relationship. Anger, rage, and the desire to seek revenge against the love interest for breaking off the relationship is certain. On the morning of July 10th, 2002, an orgy of obsessive, controlling love came to a violent climax. What drove you to that morning?
Rage, anger. You see, I had a lot of problems in my life growing up. I wasn't close to my family, and I used to bottle all that in. Right? The girlfriend I had before, Uzma, that anger, I almost used that anger on her. You know? When the last minute I just broke up with her.
You leave the strip club at 4, but you haven't answered me. At that point, what drove you from 4 o'clock in the morning to 9:30
Anger.
into so much rage?
Anger.
You rented the vehicle the day before.
I rented the vehicle not for that intention. I originally rented the vehicle to take another girl out, which is the same girl they brought to testify, which I was with at Mass on the Square. You know? I went to the strip club to try and clear my mind, but it didn't work. Right? Before that, that same night, I was walking in the middle of the road, the roadway, and vehicles going around me. It's like, I felt honestly, I wanted to die, but I didn't want to take my own life.
Simon, in St. Lucia, people call that go well.
I'm aware of that, and I've accepted that. It was go well.
Did you drive to Viewfort?
I drove to Viewfort.
Did you follow them?
Did I?
Follow them.
Yes, I did.
Did you shoot them?
Did I shoot?
Did you shoot Pedro?
I shot Uzma Ahmed.
Did you shoot Pedro?
I shot Uzma Ahmed.
Did you shoot Pedro?
No, I did not shoot Pedro. I shot Uzma Ahmed.
Did you stab Uzma?
Yes, I did. If I have to give you a rundown of everything that happened on that day, right? You may freak out.
Tell me.
After the incident, right? The Jeep was actually driven to Mullah Sheikh. There was a bus dispatcher by the roundabout. The vehicle almost ended up in an accident by the roundabout. The bus dispatcher, during the preliminary stage of the case, they brought her to testify that she did see that Jeep head up Mullah Sheikh and never returned, never came back down. But when we reached our trial, that was taken out, out of the deposition completely by the prosecution.
The day goes on, and now you must build a defense. Where were you at the time? You must build a defense about the Jeep. You must build a defense about the white paint on it. You must build a defense about the missing number plate. You must build a defense about what time it was returned. All of these things came to you before, after, during.
Okay. One, white paint on the Jeep. It was there on the Jeep from the time I rented the Jeep. Okay, because my Jeep did not touch Uzma's Jeep. And it was side to side. All right. Second, my mind just threw off there. Repeat the question again. My mind just threw off.
After the crime, you are now at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It has happened already. You are almost on the square.
Okay.
You must return the Jeep. You must have your alibi in order. What is going through your mind? At what points are you fixing everything together?
On the way driving back to Castries. Right. I knew I had to be at the Babono Secondary School because I was in charge of the unit there, the cadet unit there, right? But there was a liaison, a teacher who was the liaison. And he had to communicate with me, which he didn't. So I went up there hoping that that would be an excuse for me, you know? I went up there, but there was no show. I spoke to the teacher.
Simon.
And I dropped off the Jeep.
I understand. All of these things, the peripheries, are because you have blanked it out of your mind and you would have continued with the show, or you're building your defense?
On my way up, I started building my defense. I had already planned from the morning driving up what I would say, right? But in the questioning, right, I was missing certain parts. And I just began to be kind of impromptu.
32-year-old Pedro Joseph, a Trinidadian national, was hired by Uzma Ahmed to be her personal bodyguard because Simon had been threatening to kill her. Less than 1 month on the job, Pedro Joseph was shot dead. Ahmed, although being shot and stabbed, was able to identify her attacker to police, who would subsequently arrest and charge her ex-boyfriend for murder and attempted murder, respectively. When we return, Simon Marius scales the walls of prison and disappears.
I escaped from Her Majesty's prison on the last day of the year 2002. I escaped from Her Majesty's prison on the last day of the year 2002. It's not because of what I was in jail for. It's just the condition of the place. You know, from the time I got in at HMP, I told myself I'm not staying there. Then on the second day, they locked me up because word reached them that I was military trained and that kind of thing, and they locked me up until close to about October, November, when I was released from lockup. And the very same day I escaped, I went to my mom's home. I observed her bedroom door open and she's sleeping. I just went to my brother's room and take what I need, take his passport, take my passport, and to the airport. Took a flight, and Barbados was not my intention. Because like I told Corporal Chitoli at the time and Inspector Mason, who came for me to extradite me from Barbados back to St. Lucia, they were lucky to get me. Because that very same day, they brought me back to St. Lucia. I was booked on a flight on US Air to fly to the States with a retired pilot.
What conditions made escape right? Officer was lax, officer was smiling. Officer was lax, officer was smiling. Was it facilitated from the inside?
It was facilitated partly on the inside, and the rest was up to me.
How long were you on the run?
For 2 weeks.
How did that feel?
Oh, it felt good. It felt good to one point. At the same time, it was terrible because I couldn't sleep everywhere I go. You know, you're seeing people watching you, think like everyone is watching you. You know, I don't want to go through that again. The trial, it was a disgrace. First of all, my trial was held in the family court building, which was very hot until close to the end when they brought some fans. So it's like the first day, Uzma gave her testimony, and that alone had the jury already. Because Uzma was the main witness. She cried so much that eventually tears came down my eyes as the defendant. And that touched the jury, a jury of 11 women, 1 man, right? which I find it shouldn't be. Knowing the kind of case it was, they should have balanced off the jury. At that time, it didn't touch me. When the jury read out their verdict guilty, it did not touch me. Right? I just watched my mom and I told her, don't worry, we're going to appeal. I was more watching at my mom, but I didn't feel bad, I didn't feel sad at that time. You know? As the DPP, she requested the death penalty for me, and that too didn't touch me at that time. Until when I got back here and sun was setting, that's when it touched me. That I could be hanged, that I may never see outside again. And that night I shed tears on my knees. I stripped naked and I prayed. And I prayed. When the judge handed down his sentence, he made a statement and said that because I was skilled with military knowledge and skilled with firearm, I abused my authority. And he sentenced me to life imprisonment. And I laughed, not out loud, I laughed. Because one thing that was going through my mind now, you cannot hang me.
If you had to advise a young woman who may be going through a situation where her husband or boyfriend is overly protective, possessive, and controlling, what should they do to avoid becoming the next Uzma?
Victim.
What are the signs to look out for?
Signs? Aggression. That's one of the first signs. Some men tend to be quite verbal. Some tend to isolate themselves. So for some, it may be one or the other. The woman just have to know her man.
When she sees those signs, aggression, light abuse, that sort of thing.
First, speak to her partner. If it reaches on to physical abuse, she need help further than that. You know? Either a family member, or some group for women, or somebody she could talk to.
Even if she loves the man, should she stay in the relationship?
Nope. Should get out. Because one thing I know about love don't bring you pain. Whoever would believe love give you pain, love is not painful. It doesn't hurt anyone. It's obsession that hurts. Possession. When we try and possess that one and then we obsess with this one, that's what that causes pain, not love.
Your advice to a man who is trapped in this all too familiar spiral where all you can see is this woman. Despite her wanting to move on with her life, he's too obsessed with her and may just become violent to protect what he believes is his woman. Advise him about this behavior.
A lot of men, when they end up in situations like that, their thinking is blocked. All they see is this woman, right? But those men who try to help themselves, to them, I want them to know that you don't own no woman. No woman is your possession, you know? You just have to move on with your life. Because from my experience, here and what I've been through, I know whether you go back with that woman, things will never be the same. Right here at Bodley, I get to know anger is a natural. None of us are immune to anger. You know? It's just a matter of learning how to deal with it when certain situations arise. Some of us don't know how to control it. Those persons, we need help. Don't be afraid to seek help from others. Some of we men have too much pride. We don't want help from that person, we don't want help from that person. That's stupid pride. Because none of us could live in this world by ourselves. We need the help of each other. The decisions you make today determine your destiny tomorrow. If it's a negative decision, most of the time you will end up here. Just one mistake it takes. One stupid mistake. Education is the key to life. Think positive, because the way a man thinketh is the man. You think negative, you're a negative person. You think positive and you do positive things. 99.9% you will never end up here. I know I have caused a lot of persons pain, not just my family and friends, and to the deceased family. I can't say I'm sorry, because to me, sorry is when you step on somebody's toe by mistake. How can you say sorry to somebody or to a family who lost their son, their father? Words are not enough to say how I feel. But forgive me. Forgive me.
Has never been told. Could go on and on, the fool has never been told. Could go on and on, the fool has never been told. Could go on and on, the fool has never been